Virgo, something rare is happening on July 21st, and it's happening to you. The opportunity you grieved, the one you let go of, it's returning, not as it was, as something you're finally ready for. Stay until the end. This one matters. Today, the sky is holding its breath. The sun is spending its final hours in Cancer, the sign of home, memory, and feeling, before it crosses into bold, fiery Leo. That crossing isn't small, it's a doorway, and you, Virgo, are standing right in the frame of it. But that's not even the rarest part of today, because right now, the moon is reaching its first quarter, the exact point in the lunar cycle where the universe stops asking you to reflect and starts asking you to decide. Whatever seed was planted on the new moon exactly 1 week ago, on July 14th, is now demanding movement. Not perfection, movement. For most signs, this would simply be another Tuesday. But for you, Virgo, this particular alignment lands somewhere far more personal, because Mercury, the planet that has ruled your mind since the day you were born, is finishing one of its strangest journeys of the entire year. Since late June, Mercury has been moving backward through the sky, retracing its steps through the emotional waters of Cancer. In just 2 days, on July 23rd, it will finally turn and move forward again. You have been living inside a rewind button for weeks, Virgo. Old names resurfacing in your notifications. A song from another chapter of your life playing at the exact wrong or exact right moment. A version of a decision you thought was final, quietly reopening itself in your mind at 2 in the morning. That was not random. That was Mercury, your planet, your ruler, your own inner voice, walking backward on purpose, showing you something you moved past too quickly the first time around. And now, on this exact day, as your ruling planet prepares to turn direct, as the moon prepares to demand a decision, and as the sun prepares to leave the safety of Cancer for the boldness of Leo, 3 doorways are lining up at once. Astrologers call this a threshold day. They don't happen often, and they almost never line up this precisely for one single sign the way they are lining up for you right now. Here is what makes it rare. Most people experience Mercury retrograde as pure chaos, confusion, delay. But you, Virgo, the sign built on discernment, on quiet analysis, on the ability to sort signal from noise better than anyone else in the zodiac, were never meant to just survive this retrograde. You were meant to use it. While everyone else was frustrated by the past resurfacing, some part of you was secretly, carefully, taking notes. You noticed which door reopening made your chest tighten with dread, and which one made something in you go quiet and warm. That instinct you've been quietly collecting for 3 weeks is the whole point. It's the intelligence your soul has been gathering underneath the surface long before your conscious mind caught up. Because within the next 48 hours, one of those doors is going to open fully. And this time, Virgo, you won't need to overthink which one is real. Let's talk about the thing you lost. You don't need me to describe it in detail, because some part of you has been carrying its exact shape for months, maybe years. Maybe it was a role you were almost given, and then weren't. Maybe it was a person who looked at you like you were the answer, right before timing broke everything. Maybe it was an idea, a book, a business, a plan that you shelved because it wasn't ready, which, if we're honest, Virgo, is a phrase you reach for often when what you actually mean is that you were afraid. Here is the truth almost nobody says to a Virgo out loud. You didn't lose that opportunity because you weren't good enough. You lost it because you were early. You arrived at the door before the version of you who could actually walk through it had finished forming. Your ruling gift, Virgo, is discernment, the ability to see flaws, gaps, and imperfections before anyone else even notices them. It is one of the great powers of this entire zodiac, but it has a shadow side, and you know it intimately because you live with it daily. When that gift turns inward, it stops protecting you and starts sabotaging you. It whispers that you need one more round of preparation, one more skill, one more version of yourself before you're finally allowed to receive the good thing. So you waited, you polished, and while you were polishing, the opportunity, impatient as opportunities always are, moved on without you. But here is what today's rare alignment of Moon, Mercury, and Threshold is revealing. That opportunity did not disappear. Energy does not disappear, Virgo. You know this on some level, or you wouldn't still be watching this video. It transformed. It has spent this entire retrograde cycle being quietly reshaped in the unseen world, stripped of the parts that were never actually right for you, and rebuilt around the parts that were. This is the part almost everyone misses. They wait for the exact same door to reopen, same job title, same person, same circumstances. And when it doesn't, they call it lost and grieve it a second time. But you were never promised the same door, Virgo. You were promised the same lesson, wearing a different face. This is exactly why so many people miss their own miracles. They keep watching the front door, waiting for what they lost to walk back through, looking exactly the way it left, while the new version stands at the side entrance, dressed differently, and they walk right past it because it doesn't match the memory they're still holding on to. The job may return as an opportunity you build yourself instead of one you wait for permission to take. The person may return not as a romance, but as a mirror, showing you exactly what you're finally ready to accept from someone new. The creative dream may return not as the polished version you were chasing, but as something rawer, faster, far more honest, and somehow more entirely you. Rare doesn't mean identical. Rare means it finally fits. The signs you'll recognize. Here's how you'll know it's happening, because it will not announce itself with fireworks, it will whisper. And Virgo, you are the one sign in this entire zodiac built to actually catch a whisper. Watch the next 72 hours closely, not with anxiety, with attention. There's a difference, and you already know it. You may notice a number sequence following you. 1111, 222, 444. Glancing at a clock at the exact same repeated time, 3, 4, 5 days in a row. This isn't superstition dressed up as spirituality. This is your nervous system syncing with a rhythm outside of linear time, a rhythm that speaks in pattern, because pattern is a language your analytical mind was built to translate before almost anyone else's. You may hear a name, not see it, hear it. Spoken by a stranger on the street, in a show you weren't fully paying attention to, in a conversation 2 tables over in a coffee shop, a name connected to the exact thing, or the exact person you thought this chapter was already closed on. You may find yourself unexpectedly, almost embarrassingly, emotional over something small, a song, a smell, an old photo that resurfaces on your phone, uninvited. Virgo, you're known for composure, for being the steady one everyone else leans on. But composure was never the same thing as numbness, and what's surfacing in you this week is not weakness, it's thaw. Something that's been frozen since the day you lost that opportunity is finally being given permission to melt. You may also start dreaming in more detail than usual. Vivid dreams that stay with you long after waking, featuring people or places from the very chapter this alignment is reopening. Dreams slip past your mind's usual security system, Virgo, which is why they're working overtime this week. Pay attention to your body too. A sudden wave of clarity in the shower, waking at 3 a.m. with a full sentence in your mind, like it was dictated to you rather than thought up. A physical lightness in your chest, after a conversation you'd been quietly dreading for days. None of this is coincidence, Virgo. This is what an energy shift actually feels like in real time when it happens to a sign as perceptive as yours. Quiet, precise, almost too subtle for anyone else to notice. If you've already felt even one of these this week, comment the word yes right now before you keep watching. I want to know how many of you this is already reaching. And then, somewhere in these next few days, there will be one unmistakable sign. You will know it the moment it arrives because it will feel less like something happening to you and more like something finally answering you. A message, an invitation, a door, quite literally, that had been shut, now slightly, deliberately, ajar. When it comes, and it is coming, resist the old Virgo instinct to immediately pick it apart, to search for the flaw, to ask what's wrong with this before you've even let yourself feel it. Just this once, let the sign be exactly as good as it looks. The soul work beneath it and now. Let's go deeper, because this isn't only about what's returning to you. It's about who you're becoming while it does. Virgo, your entire life, you have been the fixer. The one who reads the room before anyone else finishes their sentence. The one who catches what's about to go wrong and quietly repairs it before anyone even notices there was a problem. You have poured yourself endlessly into being useful to your family, your partner, your work, your friends, often at the cost of ever asking whether anyone was pouring back into you. This is your gift. It is also, if you're honest with yourself tonight, your exhaustion, that inner voice that narrates every mistake before you've even finished making it, the one that rewrites your texts 4 times before sending, replaying conversations at midnight for the one thing you said wrong, was never your enemy. It was a young part of you that learned long ago that vigilance was the price of safety. It doesn't need to be silenced this week. It just needs to be told, gently, that it can finally stand down. The spiritual work being asked of you right now isn't about becoming more disciplined, more productive, more improved. Those are the tools you already overuse. The work being asked of you is the opposite. It's learning to receive something without immediately trying to earn it. That opportunity returning to you, Virgo, is not a test you still need to pass. You already passed it. You passed it in every quiet hour you spent doubting yourself and continued anyway. You passed it in every version of yourself you outgrew without applause, without an audience, without anyone telling you they saw how hard you were trying. What's being asked of you now is simpler, and for a Virgo, somehow far harder. Let it be good without inspecting it for the catch. This is what real soul transformation looks like, not a lightning bolt. A Tuesday where you finally say yes without needing to understand every variable first. Your higher self has been trying to reach you this entire retrograde season, not through drama, but through that quiet, persistent feeling that you are allowed to want something and allowed to have it without first proving you deserve it through suffering. Somewhere along the way, you were taught that worth is earned through flawlessness, that love, success, safety, all of it has to be qualified for, re-earned daily. Virgo, hear this clearly. Nothing that was ever truly meant to be yours has required you to be perfect in order to keep it. The version of you walking through this doorway on July 21st is not the same version who stood at the last one and watched it close. That version needed control to feel safe. This version is learning that surrender, real, active, chosen surrender, not passive giving up, is its own form of mastery. That is the rare thing happening today, not just an opportunity returning. A Virgo finally believing they don't have to chase what was always meant for them. So what actually happens on July 21st? Somewhere in the hours ahead, a message, a memory, a face, or a mirror of one is going to cross your path. And your very first instinct, Virgo, the old instinct, will be to overanalyze it into oblivion, to ask 12 questions before you allow yourself even one feeling, to find the single imperfect detail and use it as an excuse to talk yourself out of hoping. Don't. Picture it for a moment. Your phone lights up with a name you weren't expecting, or an email lands in your inbox, quietly reopening a conversation you thought was finished. Or, in a quieter, more internal way, you simply wake up one morning this week already knowing, with a clarity that surprises you, exactly what you need to do. In that instant, before your mind has time to build its usual case for caution, there is a flash of something simpler and truer underneath. That flash is the real answer. Everything your mind does after it is just negotiation. This is the caution folded inside this rare alignment. The same discernment that protects you can, if you let it run unchecked this week, cost you the very thing it's trying to protect. There is a difference between wisdom and fear wearing wisdom's clothes. Wisdom asks questions to understand. Fear asks questions to escape. This week, notice which one is actually driving. If an old name resurfaces, don't immediately assume it means going backward. Sometimes the universe returns a person or a chance to your life, not so you'll repeat the old story, but so you can finally close it consciously on your own terms, instead of the abrupt, unfinished way it ended the first time. And sometimes, this is the rare part, it returns because timing, the one variable you could never control no matter how carefully you planned, has finally, quietly, aligned. You will feel the difference in your body before your mind catches up. The old pattern feels like anxious pulling, like proving, like performing. The real return feels like relief, like exhaling a breath you didn't even know you'd been holding since the day you lost it the first time. As Mercury turns direct on the 23rd and the Sun crosses fully into Leo, you are going to feel a shift in momentum, like a held note finally resolving. Whatever conversation, decision, or invitation appears in the next 48 hours is not random. It is the exact result of everything this Mercury retrograde has spent 3 quiet weeks rearranging behind the scenes on your behalf, whether you noticed it happening or not. This is your rare alignment, Virgo. Sun, Moon, and your own ruling planet converging all at once on a threshold most signs will cross without ever noticing the door was even there. You noticed. You always notice. That has never been your weakness, no matter how many times the world made you feel like it was. Now, it's time to let noticing turn into receiving. If this reached something in you, Virgo, if even one sentence here felt written for your exact life, do something small before you go. Comment the words, "I receive it," below. Not, "I hope so." Not, "We'll see." I receive it. Mean it when you type it. This is a week for choosing your words with intention, because the universe answers declarations faster than it answers doubts. Subscribe and turn on notifications if you haven't already. What unfolds before Mercury turns direct on the 23rd is going to matter, and I don't want you missing the sign when it arrives. Share this with the Virgo, quietly waiting for permission to hope again. They need it today too. And Virgo, whatever door is opening for you right now, however small it looks, walk through it without inspecting every corner first. Some things really are exactly as good as they look. I'll see you in the next video.